Welcome to another edition of the REPMO Football Show. David Brazil alongside Coach Ryan Cornelsen as we talk Tiger football, coming off a win against Ozark. You've got Kickapoo coming up, and we'll talk about them later on. First, wanted to take a look back at the Ozark game, and let's just jump into some highlights. Started off with defense, and 3 and out, good start.
Yeah, no doubt. And again, a lot of it starts with our secondary, and we put them on an island and play man to man, and that's not easy, and that's there's times that they're just stuck out there for a lot of the game, but it allows us to put extra guys in the box. It allows us to fill the box and stop the run, and that's our goal, is to try to make sure we take the run away. And this drive we did a nice job of that. Probably a little bit too much on first and second down, but on third down we get the no gain or a gain for half yard, and we got off the field. And that's the big key for our defense, is get them into punt, make them punt, and get off the field.
And that's a team that's had some success with the run, but just wasn't able to do very much, at least until the second half. Start off there, good run by Isaiah off the right side.
Yeah, that's again, good read by pressing him. It was an obvious give, and he let him have it, and the offensive line did a nice job. But you can see him even on this next play. They're doing a good job of walling people down. There's a great block by Gray there on the edge that sprung Preston free. But just the push we're getting versus week 1 and 2, it's getting better. We're starting to understand it, and we're able to have more explosive plays than what we were in the first 2 games.
Ozark, after that first drive, could kind of tell, I think, that it was not in the cards they were going to be able to run. They went to the air a little bit more, missed one there. They did have a longer completion to a tight end coming up. I think it's this play. But, again, kind of the style of defense that you play.
It is, and really we got to be smart. We got to understand down and distance. It was 3rd and long, so we got to really be thinking pass. We got to keep our eyes on our man. We just got undisciplined with our eyes, and that's when tight ends and different players leak through. It happens, but we don't want it to happen, and so it's a lesson learned, and we'll be better next week for it. And so that again, that happens, and we just got to prevent it. Be disciplined with our eyes.
Ethan came flying through there and brought him down just kind of with one arm.
Yeah, Ethan, again, being explosive, he's been really good off the edge. He can go through you. He can go around you and dip in like that and trip you up. But he's putting together really good first 3 games, and we need him to continue that. And we know that he gives people problems. There JT makes a nice play, and for most people that's not a highlight. For us, every knockdown's a highlight. It's a big play. That is what our defense is based around. Is our DBs. We don't have to get interceptions, but we got to be able to knock down more than we give up, and our DBs are doing that. Even though sometimes it looks like they're not, they're on an island the whole game, and so those are big plays for us.
First big run by Owen there, and he had a good night.
He really did, and he had several big runs for us, and again, gaining confidence with every game, and we went to his, we called on him a bunch, and he's done a great job with it. There you see Gavin, he slipped, but Gavin's one of those kids, he's explosive, he's quick, just trying to figure out, and you'll continue to see him in our offense and how to utilize what he does and his quickness, but you'll see that more and more as we go down through the season and utilizing him.
Long run there by Preston, and Isaiah had a nice block on the outside there.
He did. Again, we walled down with the offensive line. We had the one kick, and Preston was able to break through. Here's another play. Again, just off the edge, we get the one kick block, and we're able to get big yards there. Preston had a really nice game. From some of it like that was just no read and just running the ball. This is another no read play, just a bootleg, and just letting him be an athlete in space. And then some of them he made really good reads and was able to get the defender to bait down and then bust a big play. So another good block there by Isaiah. Offensive line, again, you see the push.
Yep.
And again, this is us right here. If you look, it's 4 yards, and that's really our goal is 4 yards. 3 yards puts you in a debatable situation on 4th down. We want those 4 yards. Pelfrey right there makes a great slide steps, what we call that. The trap block got logged down, and when that happens, that fullback's got to be able to slide step. And he did a nice one there and found a way to get in the end zone.
Ozark finally got on the board with a touchdown pass, and they did just enough. Kind of had that was an actual drive, but then they had some big plays and
again,
just enough to stay close.
It was undisciplined with our eyes. We let a guy drag through the middle that we were late to it. We saw it late. And so those are things that, we'll get better at. But seeing a team that throws as much as they did on us will give us good experience and try to get better at that.
One of your two best returns of the night, that one's Jackson Taylor, brought it all the way into Ozark territory. I thought the kick return was good on Friday.
Yeah, Jackson's done a good job. He's given us some explosive returns and getting us in good field position, and so we need him to continue to do that week in and week out.
And Kieran was about as wide open as you were ever gonna see on that pass.
Yeah, we knew in this by what they were doing on film that one of the two guys was liable to come wide open. We didn't know if it'd be him or Gavin based on what the corner did. He set on the stop route or the post shutdown. And then KG ended up wide open and good throw, good catch, and touchdown.
And then the long kickoff return. Again, just a couple of big things that breakdowns on your part allowed Ozark to stay in the game.
Yeah, that one mainly was missed tackles. I mean, we had guys there. We just missed a tackle. And sometimes when you kick it all the way to the one, the kids are thinking the ball's in the end zone, and all of a sudden it's not. And now we're not tackling as well as we should. And we just got to do a better job tackling in space against the, number one was a good player.
Owen with another long run. He ended up with a couple of touchdowns, so had a good night all around.
Yeah, he really played well, and again, he's starting to see things and be able to make the right cuts, and he's done a really nice job this year with those plays.
One thing that's noticeable from watching that game is how many times the linemen, and we've talked about it before, are upfield on those long runs.
Yeah, and we pull a lot, and so our linemen, we give up some size probably, but we got to have guys that can move and can get in space, and our guys have done a good job with that, creating a lead block. And there was that was a great little spin move there by Owen. He's obviously excited at the back end of that. But he had a nice game, and it's nice when they get a breakaway and go ahead and finish in the end zone.
Another good play defensively, and that was Ethan back there first, and Cooper White was in there too.
Yeah, no doubt. Ethan, he can give you problems because he is strong. He can go, like I said, he can go right through you, or he can go around you, and just plays with a good motor. And Nolan on the other side of that is another, sophomore. He has a high motor, and those guys can give you problems if you're not ready for them.
That was Pelfrey, and then we've got a run. This was another run by Pelfrey, and I think that's the one I lost track of him when he came through, and then ended up coming through for the touchdown. Yeah,
on the first one he had the sidestep, and then on that one he made two people miss. He just ran through them. So that's good to see that he's making guys miss and in different ways. And so he found the end zone and did a nice job of running the trap.
Didn't mention the onside kick, but there was that. We wrapped up the highlights with that one, and that was something that you've had success with, but Ozark was able to do it against you a couple of times.
Yeah, and kind of changed the ending of the game, and it was probably the longest game in history, that fourth quarter, because the onsides, we couldn't get off the field, but we probably didn't line up, like it's how we lined up in practice, I'm sure. Obviously, we need to do some changes, and so we'll get that fixed and try to adjust. One of them was just a perfect kick, and when that happens, it's pretty tough. They got, it's 50-50 if you get it or don't. So their kicker did a nice job, but we got to be set up a little differently and make sure we understand who's doing what. And, we I don't know if we panicked, but we didn't do it exactly like what we should have. But yeah, special teams, those are things that you can't, there's three phases of the game. You can't lose one, and we did. And so we got to get better in that area for sure.
All right, that's a look at last week. We're going to take a break and be back with more on the REPMO Football Show after this timeout.
This is Vanessa at Beauty and Wellness Co. At Beauty and Wellness, we are all about REPMO spirit. And we're also about helping you optimize your internal wellness and enhance your external beauty. Whether you're looking to age gracefully or just looking for a boost of energy to help you refuel and recover, we are the place to go. Visit our spot at Highway 174 and Main Street. You can also find us on Facebook and Instagram at Beauty Plus Wellness CO or call us at 417-590-8200.
Go Tigers!
Welcome back to the REPMO Football Show. Before we go on, I want to thank Whataburger for providing drinks during the show all season long. Thanks to Mark at Whataburger for stepping up and being a big supporter of Republic Tiger Sports. Take a look at last week by the numbers, a few of the stats, courtesy of Elliott Robinson and company. 55 points, obviously, is a good night. and 390 rushing yards, right around 400. Had a couple of guys, McCracken and Claire, go over 100 yards rushing.
Yeah, I felt like from an offensive side, I felt like we played really well. There was very few breakdowns. I felt like we were within our system. We were consistent with our plan. We got movement. So our kids were able to see, the things that Coach talks about. The creating the movement, creating the wall, getting the good kick block, or making the correct read. That when that happens, it's not just going to be one guy. We're going to have multiple guys that are causing problems. And when we're balanced like that with different guys running the ball and different guys creating those issues, and maybe it's not the same amount of yards, maybe it's not the same amount of carries, but they still have to honor it. That's when you see the offense is really tough to stop. And I feel like we had all phases from all four backs, and I call our quarterback a back. So it's all four backs. We're able to do things well, and so it's always a good night for your offense.
A couple other stats to point out. Caleb Norman led the team with 7 tackles, and Elijah Peary, perfect on extra points, 7 of 7 on Friday night. We're going to be back to talk to a couple of players, starting with Grayson Hart after this timeout on the REPMO Football Show.
Looking for your next ride? Come see us at Pinnaker Chevrolet in Republic. Not only do we have a great selection of new Chevrolets on the lot, we've got a huge selection of pre-owned vehicles, all makes, all models, ready to drive home today. Need to sell or trade? We're buying cars, trucks, and SUVs, and we'll give you top dollar, no strings attached. Fair deals with local people you can trust. Let our family take care of yours at Pinnaker Chevrolet in Republic or online at pinnakerchevrolet.com.
Welcome back to the REPMO Football Show alongside Grayson Hart. And Grayson, wanted to talk to you about your role on the defense. And let's just start with that. What would you, if you had to explain in 3 or 4 sentences what your role is on this defense, what would you say?
I would say that my role is to, always we want to make plays, obviously, but taking up those offensive linemen so our linebackers can come through and make most of the plays is a really big part of like the D-line's job. So we always try and be as selfless as we can for this success of the whole defense rather than us trying to make every single play.
A lot of times I think people think of that you guys on the end as, rushing from the edge, but that sounds like if you can get there, great, but that's not necessarily what your focus is.
Yeah, Coach always tries to say, defeat the run first, and then you can worry about pass rushing. So that's a big deal to us, is to try and just be physical and beat down that tackle as best we can before we try and work any move.
I thought first half on Friday, beating down the run was definitely what you guys were doing. They tried to run it and just didn't have any success. What were you seeing there in that first half?
It was just sticking to the game plan, and the coaches do a great job of creating a really good defensive game plan for the week, and we just, executed that with high level and tried to be as aggressive as we could. And that's really what leads to a lot of our success, is being aggressive.
Were they doing something different offensively in the second half when they started to move the ball a little bit? You guys were out there a long time. We talked about that on the broadcast. I think you might have been getting tired.
Yeah. I think, most of it was just kind of getting tired, and which, isn't an excuse. But, we just saw a little bit different things going on with the offense, but we tried to correct it as best as we could.
Yeah. Let's talk about improvement over the course of the season. That's something that we've seen since Coach Cornelsen got here, is that the team in week 1 is a lot different from the team in week 10, 11, 12. Where do you think the defense has improved the most just in the first 3 games?
I think we've gotten a lot better about staying low off the ball and firing off the ball, and that just comes with time, because the pace of the game is so fast. I think as the season progresses, we get better at shooting off the ball faster and reading things faster, and so we got a lot better at that.
Do you that the speed of the game? Do you need to readjust to that, even though you played last year at the varsity level? Is that something that you have to readjust to, or is it mostly getting the new guys up to speed there?
It's a little bit of both. I have to reacclimate to it, but once I, after the first couple plays, I'm okay, I remember, this is how fast I need to be going. But it's also, preaching to those younger guys, hey, it moves fast. You got to be able to make quick decisions, and they know that now, and it's just getting them to fire off faster and do all that. and make the right reads is sometimes hard, but I think they're gonna, a lot better at it.
The offense has the ball so much under this system that you're not out there on the field. I mean, that was a little bit of a change Friday for the defense to be out there so much. Do you think that helps keep you fresh as the game goes on?
Yeah, I believe that since our offense runs that, kind of like take up the clock, it's really nice for the defense. I'm pretty lucky to have that to where I can kind of just, sit on the side and, the defensive coaches can tell us, make adjustments, and we're not back out there in a couple of minutes just because of the way our offense works. So I'm really blessed to have that.
Where do you think is the biggest room for improvement in this defense? 6 games left in the regular season.
I think we just need to get better at making those quick decisions, making those impulse decisions, because like sometimes it takes a minute to read things still, and I think as the season progresses, we'll be able to read things a lot better because we've, like I said, acclimated to the pace of the game, and so I think that's where we can improve the most for sure.
All right. Good luck on Friday. Good luck the rest of the way.
Thank you.
Grayson, Hart, back with more after this.
Kirk's Collision Center in Republic has been helping neighbors get back on the road with more than 20 years of experience behind the work. They're OEM certified, so repairs meet factory standards. And their team handles everything from collision and glass work to paintless dent repair. Even if your insurance company suggests another shop, you can always choose Kirk's, and every repair comes with a lifetime warranty. Learn more at kirkscollisioncenter.com.
Welcome back to the REPMO Football Show. Avien Ferguson from the offensive line joins us. And obviously, always the offensive line is a big part of what goes on here at Republic. And I think Friday, especially, you guys, just the holes that were opened up for the running backs were pretty huge. Talk to me about what the game plan was going in and what you were doing to implement it.
Yeah, so I think the game plan going in was really to attack the inside guys and also the DNs, because we noticed some things that we could target and just really take advantage of.
Yeah.
So I think just pounding inside was really good for us.
Did you see did you see right off the bat that this plan was going to work with what they were doing?
Yeah, we figured out pretty often that our plan going into it was working, and then later on throughout the game, we noticed that some of the defensive players weren't really shooting a gap like most teams we've seen, that they were reading us, which allowed us to open up the plays a little bit more and run more things that we could just pound them even more on.
You guys, when you're done with the drive, you go over, and we haven't really talked to anybody about the video on the sidelines, but you get a chance to go over and watch what's going on. Talk to me about that system and how that unfolds during the game.
Right. So when we go over on the sideline after we score anything or get stopped, we really just go play by play and see why the play didn't work and what we need to do to fix it. So if we have to come back to it, we know defense is doing this to adjust to it so we can get more yards next time.
So when I talk to a running back or Preston, the quarterback, or a linebacker who might get a sack, it's easy for them to think, this was a highlight of my night. As a lineman, do you have plays that you think back on and think, yeah, that was a good play?
Yeah, I think definitely for some linemen, if we're having to pull or get out on a play and you're in space or just kind of setting something up for a back and you did your job well and they get a big gain, you can look back and be like, that was pretty good.
I'm going to put you on the spot. Anything come into mind from last Friday where you had a play that you were like, yeah, that was a good play. That was a highlight for me.
Yeah, I think a play where I pulled and was able to kick out the end for Owen to score was something I can look back on and be like, that was pretty good.
That's good. Have you, do you think you've improved from the start of the season to now?
Yes, I think I have a lot. Going back to the first game for Snixa, that's my first time starting on the line, so there's a lot of nerve there. And I think I was definitely just way too high, so I think learning to not just try to go out there and attack, but just to be in our offense and do what we do right was the key.
Do you still have nerves, butterflies on Friday night? Have those dropped off, or what do you think?
I mean, yeah, they're still there before the game, but once that first play hits, it really just all goes away, and you know it's time.
Yeah. Where do you think the offensive line could still stand to improve over the course of the year?
I think right now we're all doing really good, but I mean, if we just get a smidge lower and just really fire out, I mean, I don't think anybody can really shut us down.
All right. Well, it's been fun to watch. It was fun to watch last week, and we'll be watching you on Friday. Good luck.
Thank you.
Avien Ferguson, back with more after this on the REPMO Football Show. Welcome back to the REPMO Football Show. David Brazil with Coach Ryan Cornelsen. Kickapoo on the road. Not much of a road trip on Friday, but what have you seen of them and expect of them on Friday?
Yeah, I think the first thing you recognize is they've played an extremely tough schedule. And I think, you play Joplin and you play Webb City and Neosho, and those are three really good football teams. And so the level of play they've had to play at these first 3 weeks are really good. And so they're battle tested. They haven't been able to put a full game together and win, but I know I say this every week, but they're really big. They're massive up front. They've got, from an offensive line, they're really big. They've got some really athletic skill guys at receiver and a quarterback that can get them the ball. And then probably, I'll point out that their tight end is really been impressive on film. Whether it's blocking, he can really latch on and seal an edge, but he's also very athletic in space, and they try to get him the ball, throwing the ball. So he really jumped out on film to me watching him play. Then defense, even through the linebackers, they're big, and so we've got to figure out, which is every week, figure out, being undersized, how do we utilize our guys, where do we put them to try to free guys up and to try not to let that size interfere with what we're capable of doing. So those will be big key for us to be able to move guys around. And then probably most important is it's our last game before conference.
Yeah.
And you've had your to me this is kind of like your preseason. You got the 4 games, which makes again the Nixon game 1 that's tough because we're building through these 4 games to try to make sure going into an extremely tough conference and an extremely tough district that we're playing at a level that we feel is acceptable. We're not there yet, but we're getting closer, and so that's what I'm looking for most is to take that next step to get to that level where we expect to play at. And so that's what we'll be looking for. So, did we take that step? Are we there? If we're not, what do we got to get fixed? If we are, how do we continue to grow throughout the regular season through your conference schedule?
All right. Should be fun. We'll have live coverage of Republic and Kickapoo starting around 6:40 with the Hines Street Pharmacy pregame show. And that's going to do it for this week's REPMO Football Show. For Coach Ryan Cornelsen, I'm David Brazil. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you Friday night. And that's going to do it for this week's REPMO Football Show. For David, I need a regular out.
Now you got to leave that in. Your
Yeah.
got to be in there too.